our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. This is that whole ripple effect thing. You know, you throw a rock in a pond and the ripples go out and out and out. We've all heard that illustration before, but we also all know it's completely true. Every decision we make affects not just us, but everyone we're connected with. That's why every single sin we commit privately can be expected to bring a little more evil and pain into the world and to everyone else in it. The Bible talks about this using imagery of planting seeds, so that every sin that you commit, even privately, plants a seed of evil into your life and, by extension, into the world. If you don't think evil and pain enters the world through individual sins, read Romans 5:12. Or visit a hospital where a child is being treated for fetal alcohol syndrome. A mother makes a choice to drink privately, and her child suffers with poor memory or coordination or heart defects for the rest of their little life. A father watches porn privately, but the tears fall on his wife's pillow because she's not as dumb as he thinks she is. But it's not just the wife. The porn changes him as a person. It's a crack in the armor of his character, and that crack gives greater influence to evil in his life in other areas, as sure as rain. And as he changes, it affects how he interacts with everyone around him, and that affects and changes them, and so on. And it's not only when we can see the connections that they're real. They're always real. Every sin, every time, private or public, every sin brings a little more pain into the rest of the world, and the whole world shares in it in some way or another. Turns out, there's no such thing as private sin after all. It's an oxymoron. Every act of darkness brings unnecessary pain and greater darkness into the world. Period. No wonder Jesus advised us to treat even private sins as drastically as possible. Check out Matthew 5:28-30. But the flip side is also true. Every act of righteousness brings light and good into the world, and it affects everyone else in the world as well, even if just in a small way. Just like there's no such thing as a private act of sin, there's no such thing as a private act of righteousness either. Think about how many kids had a legacy of church attendance given to them from a mother, or a grandmother, or a great-grandmother. Yes, a single sin can change and affect the course of a marriage, a family, and its future families by connection, and so on. But so can a single positive change. One act of kindness really can change the world. And how we think about the local church, I deeply believe, is probably the second most powerful potential influencer in terms of power to affect multiple generations. I mean, first, how you think about the local church will affect your actions, which will affect everyone else at your local church family, which affects everyone they're connected to as well. But even beyond that, even beyond how it affects your actions, even your thinking itself, just that way you think about the local church, will affect the thinking of those around you, even if you don't see it or know it. Your thinking and worldview affects the thinking and worldview of those around you. It just does. And it will certainly affect the worldview of your children, and their worldview will affect the worldview of their children, and so on and so forth. Give me one person that thinks correctly about the local church, and I'll show you a legacy that will far outlive them, guaranteed. Make no mistake now, the enemy cares very much about how you think about the local church. And he knows you're listening to these tapes right now. And so he will seek to alienate you from your local church family at that thought level. He knows every button to push, and he will push them all. Why? Because he knows that how you think about the local church can change generations yet unborn and nations yet unfallen.